Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of the Spurs Chat podcast, where in this edition we'll be talking about Tottenham's final pre-season friendly before the Premier League campaign starts on Sunday. I am live from Barcelona outside the Olympic Stadium, where Spurs have just been beaten 4-2, having been 2-1 up with two Oliver Skipp goals at half-time. I've got three very special guests to talk about this pre-season, tonight's game and the transfer window. Back with us, actor Ricky Norwood. Rick, how are you, mate?
I'm okay, my friend. I've had a couple of technical issues this evening, so sorry for the little bit of the delay in starting the show tonight. But yes, I'm good. I'm ready to jump in. I'm happy that it's the last pre-season game, and I'm happy to get down to the real business. Come on, you Spurs.
Back with us also is channel regular Craig Dearman. Craig, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all good, Chris. I'm all good, thank you. Yeah, not the best way to sign off tonight, but a lot of positive things to come out of tonight, I think. So, yeah, let's get into it.
Absolutely. Also back with us is Ollie Gamp, of course, Daily Mail journalist. Ollie, how are you?
Very good, thanks. In spite of another Spursy loss, but yeah, I'm doing good. Thank you. Good to be back on the podcast, Chris.
Thank you for coming. Ricky, let's start the show with you. Give me your thoughts on tonight's game, because I tell you what, I feel there are a lot of positives. I probably would have wanted a game or two more, but we can certainly see what Ange Postecoglou is trying to do. The defence, again, has probably let us down this evening, although Davinson Sanchez, in my opinion, had a good performance, one of his better ones in a Tottenham Hotspur shirt. But your thoughts on this evening's game?
First and foremost, it was a friendly. It's the last friendly, and I think we all need to remember that. Secondly, I think it was the second string side, and I think that all of those getting the minutes that they got tonight, I think was a positive in itself. I think also, yes, we lost. Yes, we lost the friendly, but we was against a full strength Barcelona side in the first half. And our second string done pretty well. They played the same way, and that's what I was encouraged about. They wanted to make the same passes. They wanted to make the same movements. They wanted to follow the manager and follow the ethos that we're trying to build here. And, all in all, it was good for Skippy to get a couple of goals. But I think the glaring mistakes that we made tonight, I think, are another kind of bit of evidence for the board to keep moving forward, to keep changing up this side, to get another defender in if possible. Do you know what I mean? And those that had an opportunity tonight to maybe save their Spurs career, it was a bit comme ci, comme ça. So I think, the jury's out right now on some of these players, and they've had an opportunity. Some shone. I thought Perisic done well at times, for him to get crosses in the front center. Lo Celso, when he, I thought Lo Celso is looking quite good. I'm quite surprised. I've seen more of Lo Celso this preseason than I think in the games that he played for us. I've seen more about him. I've seen a different energy. I've seen a different mentality from him, and I've seen him enjoying himself. Solomon looks nippy and quicky. So there were some nice bits and pieces here and there, but the goals conceded and some of the apprehensions I had over the goalkeeper as well is coming up as well. But it was a second string side that went up against a very good Barcelona side. Yes, they brought on some teenagers in the second half, but they're a very good side, and this is a side in transition, in rebuild. We've thrown away the game plan that we've had for the last 3 or 4 seasons. We're going with a totally new game plan, something that suits us as fans and the manager, and it's going to take a little bit of time. I prefer you making a mistake in pre-season than you do in the real games when it matters, when there's 3 points on the line, or when there's an actual final to get to, or do you know what I mean? Whatever the case may be, when it's an important game, make your mistakes now, so when it comes down to the important games, you don't make those mistakes again. Do you know what I mean? Fingers crossed. So all in all, it's a bit tipsy-turvy, but I think it's positive.
Ricky, are you happy overall with the pre-season?
Not really, if I'm honest. The one thing that I've noticed from all the players is that they've all mentioned there's been a lot of traveling, which means, when you try and decipher that, it basically means they've had not a lot of sleep, and there's been a lot of playing journeys. And as you can attest, Chris, from doing it yourself, from a fan's perspective, from a supporter's perspective, that is very tiring. Jet lag takes a minute to kind of sort itself out. It took you a little while to sort yourself out, and get back into the rhythm of UK times and sleep zones and all of those things.
I still haven't.
See, and you've had to jump on the plane again today. Do you know what I mean? I say got to, but I know it's a pleasure of yours, and I know you love following Tottenham wherever they are around the world. But still, it's a lot. It's a lot on the body. It's a lot on the mind, and it's a lot that you end up putting off in your day-to-day life to try and give to Tottenham, whether you're a player or a fan right now. So they've been worked hard. We've seen that there's options with the players that never really get a chance to shine. Have had an opportunity tonight. And, Ange has got a clearer idea of what type of squad he wants to build, who he wants to keep and who he wants to go. And I think that's a positive going into the, to the season and going into the final weeks of the transfer window.
Craig, let's get your thoughts on today's game.
Yeah, on the whole, I enjoyed watching it. I mean, I would say all the pre-season games I've enjoyed much more than most games under Conte and Jose, to be honest with you. Look, it's only a friendly, and people say results don't matter. They technically don't, but we'd all obviously prefer a win. But to be honest, between minute 10 and minute 80, about that, I thought we were outstanding, and I thought we dominated at times Barcelona. I thought we didn't start off particularly well, obviously conceding the early goal, which we'll come on to. And the last 5-10 minutes weren't particularly good, but that bulk in the middle, there's going to be bumps. It's not going to be perfect from the start, and we're still going to have games like this in the first part of the season. I've no doubt about that. There were holes in that defence, which Ricky touched on. You could almost see where the passes were going to split us open. But I didn't think Porro had his best game today, and I'll be very surprised if he started at the weekend, to be honest. But a lot of green shoots of recovery I'm seeing, and as I say, I'm actually being entertained watching Tottenham.
Yeah.
The amount of players we've been getting up the pitch is just great to see. The energy levels and the players seem to be adapting to that really, really quickly. It just goes to prove that it's in almost every player's nature just to go forward and attack rather than sit back. They seem to have picked this up really quickly. And look, it's their job to do that. They're paid to play football. But, they've had 4 years of playing sitting back, counter-attacking football. And now it's almost like the shackles are off for all of them. It does worry me a little bit that we're a bit too gung-ho at times, and we will see that. Like I say, we will get caught out a number of times. But with VDV coming in and his pace, I think that's key. And I think Sanchez showed that tonight. What's having somebody quick at the back, you need that in this system. You couldn't play a Dyer and a Davies at the back because we would totally get caught out. But Sanchez, who I've been one of his biggest critics, I thought was really, really good tonight. Apart from the first goal, he was possibly man of the match along with Basuma for me. I thought he did, he had a couple of moments, but on the whole, I thought he was fantastic. But I'm sure we'll come on to the players later. But overall, I thought it was a good end. Like you, I think we could have done with another game or two, but it is what it is, and it's Brentford on Sunday, and can't wait for the season to start now.
Well, 4 pre-season friendlies, 2 wins and 2 defeats, 16 goals scored and 9 conceded. I think this Premier League campaign coming up is certainly going to be entertaining. Ollie, let's get your thoughts on today's game and pre-season overall.
Yeah, I think we have to remember, like Craig and Ricky said, it is just a friendly. I don't think results matter in friendlies. I think it's the most important thing is fitness, preparation and performance. I think you can see that every single player has bought into the way Ange plays. I know I've been a critic of Ange, and we'll get to that later. But every single person is buying into his style of play. All you have to do is watch a training game, a training drill, and it's already 10 times better than anything we saw last season. So it's a pleasure to watch the team. We could have lost 6-1 tonight, and I would have been pretty happy just because we're playing really good football. We're confident. We believe in what we're doing. We believe in what Ange is telling them to do. And you look at the team tonight. I mean, the team we put out is probably a team we'll put up in the Carling Carabao Cup. Dyer, Sanchez, Reguilon, they're not going to be starting against Brentford. And you look at Barcelona's team, they've got Lewandowski, they've got De Jong, they've got Gabby, Pedri, Ter Stegen. These are internationals. These are top players. And as you guys said, we play them off the park at times. And it's just really good to see that every player is really believing in what Ange does. And we're going toe-to-toe with Barcelona. Ollie Skipp scoring a brace despite only scoring 1 goal his entire Spurs career. He scored a brace against Barcelona tonight. So, yeah, it's really, really positive. I wasn't 100% in love with the way we defended. I wasn't in love with it at all. I still get nightmares about Sanchez and Dyer at the back. Thank God Mickey came in. Hopefully we'll get Tapsoba over the line or Laporte or somebody. Definitely need another defender just to compete and balance it out a bit. But yeah, just a friendly. I think towards the end, when it was 3-2 and 4-2, I don't know about you, Chris, but it looked like the players were just kind of saving themselves for Brentford a little bit, just trying to wind down a bit. So I'm not massively worried. But yeah, I think there is a fear, like Craig said, that we're going to go a bit too gung ho, and we're going to be exposed. But it's a process, and I think we have to just go through the season. There's going to be a game where we're going to lose 4 or 5-1, and it's going to happen. I hope you guys know that, because we're going to go really, really attacking. Everything's going well, and then we just get battered by someone like Man City. It's just bound to happen. But we'll learn from it, and we'll come back stronger. But yeah, I'm excited for the season. I think we're geared up now. I was impressed with Solomon and even Lo Celso, who's doing quite well this preseason. I think it's a new chapter for players like him. So yeah, the overall feeling is positive.
Just a slight correction. I should have said 14 goals scored, not 16. That was wishful thinking. Ollie, I want to come back to you on the Ange Postecoglou point that you made. You wasn't keen on Postecoglou, but the games that you've seen so far, with the entertaining style that he is providing, I think that all of us know, every single Spurs fan knows, the problems we've got is defensively. And, when you're putting the second string defence, so to speak, in this evening, you're going to have problems against Barcelona. We did play well defensively in parts of the game today, I feel. But we all know that problem is there. Does it all go away when Mickey van der Ven and Christian Romero come in at the back?
I hope so. But the truth is, you don't know how 2 defenders are going to be. Are they going to be a Ledley King and a Dawson? Or are they going to be a Kirakez and, I don't know, whoever, Gallas and Basong? Do you know what I mean? Like, you just don't know.
Confident?
I'm confident in Mickey. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's worth 43 million. I think he's a good player, but you just never know whether a defender is going to gel with another defender. And Romero can have an amazing day, and he can also make himself look like a joke when he's sliding around everywhere, getting sent off. So it can't hurt. I mean, unless Mickey van der Ven has deceived every scout we have, it can't hurt to have another body and a fresh face who's willing to impress. But it's not just going to go away, because we've got 3 right backs who probably aren't good enough. We've got a couple of left backs who we got Perisic, who's more of a winger. We've got Udogie, who's new and isn't familiar with the team. So it's gonna take time. We're going to concede goals. Hopefully not as many as last season. I don't think it's possible to concede as many as last season. But it can't be worse. This is a really pessimistic view, but it can't be worse than last season, because that was just appalling all over the shop.
And just going back to the point, Ollie, about Ange, are you fully behind Ange now and the way that he plays?
Ollie Lewis, he's our Australia editor, and he's been saying to me, Ange is going to be your manager. He said that to me in March. He was like, I think Ange would be great for Tottenham, and I was like, shit. I was like, do me a favour, Ange Postecoglou. No. Not having it. I've literally been saying to him, no, not having it. And when he was appointed, I was like, no. But the more he speaks, the more you see of him. It's impossible to not like him, is it? He's a likable guy. He's like that uncle you love. He's like that your dad's best mate who puts his arm around your shoulder and tells you everything's gonna be great. And yeah, like we're playing amazing football. Everyone seems to love him. The only thing I don't know, this is what I keep saying, if we're 2-1 down to Liverpool in the 80th minute, has he got something in his locker? Has he got a backup plan? I don't know. I don't know if he's tactically astute. But what I do know is he gets us playing good football, and that should, in theory, take care of the rest. We'll see. But yeah, I'm kind of leaning. I'm happier now, but we'll see. I still don't know if he's going to be successful. but he'll definitely get us the confidence boost we need. So that's good.
Ricky, before we start talking about the starting 11 this evening, I just want to ask you how you're feeling, because you're one of the most regular guests on this channel, and we have gone through some dark times on this channel, you know, talking about many, many defeats and poor performances. How are you feeling right now about the football, the style of football that Postecoglou has been playing? Because before tonight, we had over 90 shots in those 3 previous games. It is certainly entertaining. I know, like I've just said, that we know what problems we've got defensively. Hopefully, Mickey van der Ven can make his debut at Brentford on Sunday. Watch this space. And if, you know, we can get 1 or 2 extra signings in over the line, you never know what's going to happen. But how are you feeling about it? Or are you feeling a lot more positive? Because we have had some very frustrating times recently.
Honestly, Chris, I am. I mean, the word that comes to mind is optimistic. My positivity radar and reader has definitely been topped up, you know, from what I've seen, and my optimism is grown as well. I'm looking at this side now. There's a freshness to it. I'm looking at the manager, and he's bringing, you know, front-footed football. He's brought in, you know, Maddison, who the other day against Shakhtar looked absolutely dynamite. I can't wait to see him at the Lane and to have him in a competitive game when it's all on the line. I'm a lot happier now that we've got Mickey van der Ven, a left-sided centre-back. My gosh, how long have we been after one? Do you know what I mean? And one that actually the manager wants and actually fits his profile and fits his system. You know, we saw the trouble that we had this evening with Dyer and Sanchez at the back. Sanchez has got more pace than Dyer, but we saw what it was, or what it would have looked like if we didn't actually invest this year in defenders. You know, we would have got overrun very, very easily. You know, the pace in the Premiership right now is at an all-time high. There's so many pacey wingers and tricky strikers and number 10s and stuff like that. And so it would have been, you know, it might have looked like a nightmare, you know, if we didn't invest. So now that we've got that centre-back in, I'm feeling a lot more optimistic. That's the one I needed. You know, I was happy about Maddison, but I was still sitting there going, where's my centre-back? Where's my centre-back? Where's my centre-back? You know? So, yeah, yes, there are going to be some rocky times, like Ollie said. And what's really kind of encouraging, even about the rocky times, is that Ange actually knows that that's coming too. He's pre-warned us all. He's let us know. You know, his previous sides, his previous results, the first 6 results are always a bit iffy because they're still learning the system. Every side he takes over is a rebuild, so we can judge on that history that probably something similar is going to happen to us. You know, it's going to be up and downy, but we're going to see these green shoots. And what's really important for us is to believe in Ange, believe in this system, and believe this way of football will pay off. Do you know what I mean? It will kind of, the best of the Tottenham, we will see it this season, you know, once it clicks into gear. And we're only seeing a taster of it right now. When it comes to Tottenham, and especially last season and the seasons previous, it's got me so angry. It's beat my optimism. It's beat my positivity. It's brought out my cynicism. It's brought out my kind of, my questioning of the club and the decisions, and it started to get me angry and it started to upset me towards the end of the season. But I had to realize as well is that football is a game of emotions. And I know we speak about taking emotions out of the game and being a bit ruthless here and there, but it's an emotional game. It allows people like us to lose our absolute cool and be angry and be frustrated and let it out and be absolutely joyous and hug a stranger that you haven't, you know, you ain't got a clue about, who's sitting next to you in the stand or something like that. Or if you're at home or if you're in a pub, it brings you together as well. You know, you get to meet new people. There's an emotion attached to it. And the reasons we get so upset and angry and disheartened majority of the time is because we know where we should be. We know we know what we should be doing. We know how far ahead we should be, and it hurts our heart. And you know, I wanted to go back to just being a supporter this year. I didn't want to really put my money on any particular signing, any particular name coming in. I'll tell you my opinion on which one I'd like, but I'm not putting my money in them because I just want to support my team through thick and thin. I grew up during the late 90s, early 2000s when Tottenham fans, myself, and I was chatting to Darren Hart today. We used to get it. We used to get it at school. Do you know what I mean? But I had to, represent my team. Win, lose, or draw. Wear your colours. Win, lose, or draw. Come on, you Spurs. Do you know what I mean? So I wanted to I reminded myself of that, and I wanted to go back to that. But seeing the boys, seeing the business, seeing Ange, and seeing these green shoots has made me optimistic. It's made me want to support them through thick and thin this year. So I'm ready for it. We're gonna have to be learning on the job because we haven't had the best preseason, but let's have it. Let's go. Come on.
Craig, is it pretty harsh of a number of Spurs fans to write on social media this evening that it's the same old story? We've lost again. Not really giving Ange time and seeing the bigger picture.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, God. We've had pre-seasons where we've won every pre-season game. We've been crap. We've had pre-seasons where we've lost more games than we've won, or drawn games, and it's been the same old story. So you can't read too much into pre-season. If we were getting spanked 10-0 every game, then yes, obviously you can read something into that. But this is all about getting minutes in legs. It's like I said last week, it's getting minutes in the players' legs. They're learning new systems, where to be on the pitch at certain times. These things are going to happen. We got a new goalkeeper who, I'll be honest, I'm still not convinced myself about him. I still think he looks a bit flappy, but he's literally come into a new team, into the Premiership. He's learning. He's not had a settled back four in front of him yet. So that's going to take time to gel. It's not like when we had Hugo, Jan and Toby at their peak, all three of them, that little triangle, you learn to trust each other. What he's had to do, shot stopping, he's been okay. He did save a few tonight that probably didn't need saving, but he doesn't want to make any mistakes. He doesn't want to let any stupid ones in. He seems to be quite agile. So, it's a learning curve for him. You've got to give him time. But going back to your question, you can't write us off now. I mean, it's just ridiculous to say that. After 10 games of the Premiership, and if things aren't going well, absolutely. But you can't yet. We haven't started yet. How can you write something off that hasn't started? You've got to give it time. You've got to believe. And whereas I didn't really know much about Ange at all, like we've said on many of these, you go away, do your research, and now we've seen it firsthand. I'm excited. This guy, as like Ricky said, he is like an uncle that puts his arm around you and says, "Come on, let's go and have a pint." He is that sort of guy. He's the sort of guy you feel like as a fan, certainly I do. You could go for a drink down the pub with him and you'd feel relaxed in his company. He just seems like the players would warm to him as well. It appears the players are really enjoying working under him. And I think he's been a breath of fresh air. He's had a hell of a lot to deal with since he came in on the 1st of July. Christ, our star player, we still don't know quite what's happening with him.
We'll talk about him later.
So let's leave him till the end, absolutely. But what I'm getting at is he's had so much to deal with. And we were a mess when Conte left us, and he's picked us back up. Look, I'm in the Ricky Norwood camp. I'm positive. I'm looking forward to the season. I think he is the man that can take us forward. I'm not going to say anything about trophies or anything like that, but I think we're going to see some great games under Ange, and I think he's going to prove a lot of people wrong.
Ollie, let's come to you. I want to talk about the goalkeeper, Vicario, because he has taken a lot of stick this evening. Does it add to it that the fact that Arsenal are just about to sign David Raya, and of course David Raya is a goalkeeper that a number of us wanted, including myself. Premier League experience, can play out from the back, exactly what you're going to get. Vicario, I think he's a great shot stopper. I've seen him in every single open training session, and of course the games that he's played so far. I haven't quite made my mind up about him yet. I think that, playing Premier League football is completely different to, training sessions and some of the friendlies that we've played. But what have you made of Vicario so far, and what do you think of the signing? Because a lot of people have come out this evening saying he's not good enough. Spurs have gone with a cheap option. What are your thoughts?
Well, I've been poisoned really because somebody sent me a video of every single goal that Vicario conceded last season, and it did not fill me with delight. It almost looked like he had a hole in his gloves every single goal. It just went through. But then again, he had not a very good defense. Tonight, he didn't have a very good defense. I think, you've seen him, Chris. You've seen him in training sessions. You know he's a good shot stopper. We wouldn't have spent, 17 million is a lot for a goalkeeper. And we wouldn't have just binned off one of our longest serving players and captain, very, very experienced goalkeeper for this guy if he was no good. So I think I'd like to think that we've done our homework on him. Yeah, he hasn't looked outstanding. But I don't think you can judge a goalkeeper in pre-season because his defense is getting rotated left, right, and center. Judge him when he's got Mickey van der Ven and Romero or whoever else we sign in front of him with Adogi and whoever it is, Porro or Real on the right. Judge him then. Judge him when he's at the biggest pressure point of the season, because that's when we need him to come up big. He hasn't got a lot of experience. It is a surprise we went for him. I'm with you, Chris. I wanted David Raya. And the fact that Arsenal are about to sign him as their number 2 goalkeeper really does hurt. I don't really know why Raya would want to do that because he's very good. He's going to cost about 40 million to be your number 2. I think they want to sign him for less, actually. I think we reported that they wanted him for 20 or 30. But it's still a lot of money for a number 2. And he would have been our number 1 easily, hands down. So it's frustrating, but you have to trust that Ange and the top dogs have done their homework on him because, if we get to halfway through the season and he's letting in everything, we're going to have no one else. We're going to have Austin. Is Forster still with us? He is, isn't he?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, he is. Yeah. So we're gonna have to turn to Forster again if it all goes tits up. So it's a risk because he hasn't got the Premier League experience. And there was a few goalkeepers I would have gone before him, but I'd never heard of him before, and I'm not a Premier League scout. So we have to just sort of go with it. But yeah, the overall feeling is jury's out, I think.
I must admit, I was very surprised that Hugo Lloris didn't make some sort of cameo appearance on Sunday, and for Spurs to give him like a special send off and a goodbye because it does look like he's going to go out the door. It's a weird one. Ricky, let's come to you. The starting 11 this evening: Vicario, Porro, Eric Dyer as captain, which was a little surprising to me. Sanchez, Reguilon, Skipp, Basuma, Lo Celso, Solomon, Richarlison and Perisic. The 10 subs this evening: Austin, Gunter, Royale, Spence, Phillips, Davis, Sarr, Devine, Son and Scarlett. I just want to ask you, before I ask you about the lineup itself, wouldn't it have been better to put the lineup that played on Sunday to play this game and this evening's lineup to play Sunday's game, to give that real preparation? Because the reason why I said at the start about I would like a game or two, I just don't feel that we've had enough preparation.
No, I agree. I mean, we've seen a couple of 45-minute halves from teams. And, our first team, or trying to build your first team, hasn't had a 90-minute game yet. So it is tough. Would I have swapped them? I think Ange wanted to go out with as close to a first team being his first home game and first friendly, first introduction to the Tottenham fans. I think he wanted to go with the strongest team in that. And I don't think to Ange that the opposition was that important. I think it's the movement. I think it's the patterns of play. I think it's the belief in the system. I think it's the getting to know your teammates. It's the getting to know them runs. It's the start to do what the boss is asking without thinking about it or without being told, which we've heard Ange say a couple of times. So I think that's why he done it that way round. I'm with you in that I probably would have swapped it around because obviously Barcelona, whether it's their A team or B team, are a tougher test, and we would have got a better read on Tottenham and Ange's first team against Barcelona. But we're at the business end right now. So I think, we got a good 70 minutes into most of the first team on Sunday. Now the majority of them are back at base and they're rested up, recovering or training or doing whatever they need to do. for the week ahead. The business starts on Sunday, and that's the most important game now. I think, again, like I said a bit earlier, that it was a great audition. Like Craig was saying a bit earlier, that might have been a Carabao Cup team, or like a lower division FA Cup game team that you put out. But tonight was the audition to see if, okay, if I put you in, can you do the job? And some of them can, and some of them cannot. Do you know what I mean? Just to jump on the back of what Ollie was saying about Vicario as well, it's really tough for him because he's coming in straight away to be the number one. There ain't no bedded in, there ain't no bedding in. There ain't no, all right, if you have a bad game, we'll drop you for a little bit. Or, I mean, obviously you could do that with Forster, but basically what he's come in and gone, you're number one. You're going to be starting every week. We're going to build the team around you. You're going to learn on the job. You're going to get your time in the league games, and you're going to work it out. He hasn't had any time with his first team defenders. My apprehension with him is that it's the parry. So we talk about shot stopping, but to me, it's more like shot parrying, because it's either, out for a corner, or it's back into the box where it's danger zone. Yeah. I mean, in that first half, I think it was the first half, he almost got chipped, and yes, he stopped it. Yes, it didn't go in, but like you can see, there's a couple of problems here, and that was my apprehension with him. Yes, we've seen him pull off triple saves and stuff like that, but every time he parries back into the box, back into the danger area, where you can get the secondary and third shot in on him. And I think that's something that definitely he has to work on, but he's going to do that. We're not going to see who Vicario is until at least 8 to 10 games. We're not going to see him, because every mistake he makes, because he's a new goalkeeper, is pressure on his back. I think what I would say to all the fans right now is that and to myself as well, because I'm the same, I had apprehensions. I wanted David Raya. We all knew that, if we paid for him, we knew what we was getting for our money, and we knew that all of us could settle a little bit, especially coming off of Hugo Lloris, who's been there for 11 years. Yes, he's had a couple of drop-off performances in the last season or two, but majority of the time, he's Hugo. Captain fantastic. Do you know what I mean? The one that pulls us out. Yes, he might make a mistake, but he'll save us more times than he costs us majority of the time. So we're coming away from that security, and we're putting it onto Vicario. And I would say to everyone just to calm down, back him, cheer him on, instead of like getting on his back. Like, come on, come on, Vicario. Come on, bro. Like, okay, you'll get the next one, because the pressure's on him anyway. And mentally, him being a new keeper in the Premier League for the money that he's come for, that's big money for him, personally. There's a lot of weight on his shoulders right now. So it was a second team. He needed those 90 minutes more than, tonight and on Sunday. He needed that amount of time more so than the performance right now. We saw a couple of nice saves off of him, but we definitely saw some problems there as well. But we're not really going to see the best Vicario or a comfortable, calm down, assured Vicario until at least, I'm guessing, at 8 to 10 games.
Ricky, would you have preferred David Raya?
All day long. All day.
Okay.
It's easy. It's easy. And you know what? If he goes for the money that was reported that we put in for him in the first place, like 20 to 25 mil, if he goes for that, I mean, I'm like, oh, I don't know why they don't go in for him now. Put in a cheeky bid for him. I'd take him and have Vicario as the number 2. Do you know what I mean? And let him battle it out even. I'd take him. But yeah, I mean, if he goes for 20 to 20, 25, 27 to the Gooners as their number 2, it's going to sting. But it is what it is. What can we do? We've got to trust these scouts. And I remember speaking on this show about Amrabat. When Amrabat came up, none of us, including myself, none of us wanted him. None of us wanted anything to do with him. We actually ridiculed him. We're like, who? What? Cheap option. The same quotes that we've all said. But then he goes off to the World Cup as a worldie. Now he's triple the price, maybe 4 times the price. And he's probably going to go to a club in the Champions League right now. Do you know what I mean? So we have to trust this new system, the new data-driven system, the new scouts, the new kind of the box that needs to be ticked for the manager that we've got. So that's why I'm trying to stay calm with Vicario right now.
Craig, let's come to you. Let's get your thoughts on the starting 11. Vicario, Porro, Dyer, Sanchez, Reguilon, Skipp, Basuma, Lo Celso, Solomon, Richarlison and Perisic. Of course, we all learned early this morning that the likes of Harry Kane and a lot of the players that featured heavily on Sunday didn't travel. Was it the right decision? What do you think of lineup?
I actually think they did do it the right way around. I think the first home game for Ange needed to be more or less our first team. I think they got that right. And to be honest, that was Sunday, our first game Sunday, and it does give those players, it takes the pressure off them playing 2 games in a week, so to speak, or rather a game nearer the start of the Premiership season. So I personally think they did do that the right way around. And to be brutally honest, it probably doesn't matter that much. But I can see why he took players like Son out there, because Sonny hasn't had as many minutes as he probably would have liked. I'm surprised it didn't come on, actually, but he probably didn't feel like he needed to. Or perhaps it's going to give him 10, 15 minutes and then, for whatever he decided to give to Spencer run. It's probably the team that I expected with the squad that he took out there, to be honest. Perisic surprised me again. I thought he was really good. His deliveries obviously is one of the strongest parts of his game. Yeah. And there's part of me thinking, do we keep hold of somebody like Perisic just as an impact sort of player? Because his deliveries are great from the wing and he's still super fit, obviously. But for me, and I love Reguilon. I think he seems like a really nice lad, but I just don't think he's going to cut it. I just don't think he's going to be good enough. And I was gutted actually when he left, but you could see the signs there. He just wasn't quite perhaps built for the Premiership. He didn't have the best game. To be honest, I don't think Porro had the best game, and it comes back to what Ollie was saying. Across that defence, it was our second string defence, and you can kind of see why it's a second string defence, even though Sanchez, I thought, had probably one of his best games for us tonight that I've seen. The middle of the part, I thought Skipp was really good. Basuma was great again. Richarlison is okay. Solomon, it was pretty good. And then obviously recovered Perisic. So all in all, it was a team that I expected, or more or less expected him to play. But who I thought basically equipped themselves pretty well against Barcelona's pretty much first 11. And like we said, dominated for long periods in the game. And it was just great to see him biting at the ankles of these players. And I must admit, probably like everybody else, when we conceded in the first 5 minutes, I thought, oh, here we go again. And Rafinha obviously should have scored a second, but he didn't. And we grew back into the game. That's what was great. They stuck. And this is what Ange has always said. He doesn't mind players trying things that he's told them to try. Like playing out from the back, I thought we looked quite confident playing out from the back, and that is what Ange would love. They stuck to the system and stuck with it. There was an occasion when I saw us dropping deeper and deeper, and I thought, oh, we're reverting to type here. But he was obviously telling them up the pitch, forward, forward, forward. And it was great to see. So all in all, not the result we wanted, but pretty good night's performance, really.
I tell you what, Craig, I think that was my moment of the game. Vicario, Dyer and Sanchez were playing the ball, knocking it about to one another, playing it out from the back. And I actually laughed out loud at that stage and thought, what on earth am I witnessing? This is why I've come to Barcelona, to see things like that under Ange. Unbelievable. I didn't ever think I'd see that. Ollie, let's come to you. Craig mentioned a couple of the players there, Lo Celso, Perisic and Sarr. Those 3 players, really, you would have expected to go out the door this window. Sarr on loan and Perisic, it's been widely reported that he may leave this summer. And Giovanni Lo Celso, I must say, me personally, I didn't ever think that we would see him in a Spurs shirt again. Probably been our best player, our standout performer during this pre-season.
Well, you have to remember, Chris, that we signed Lo Celso during a time where we played negative football, and he's never had a manager who plays positive football. So now is the perfect time for him to have a crack at getting in the team. under a manager who plays attacking football. He can play in the cam role. He can run off players. He can have the freedom to play. Perisic. I mean, Perisic was talked about someone who would leave. I love Perisic. I think he got 8-9 assists last season, maybe more. I don't know. He's a massive creative outlet for us and a huge set piece taker and an experienced head. Someone who's played Champions League finals, World Cup finals. The guy has done it all. He's seen it all, and we need more players like Perisic. So I'm happy he stayed. He got an assist tonight. So I'm happy he stayed. Yeah, Lo Celso was a surprise. I really did think his days were numbered, but this is the thing. Like when a new manager comes in, like Ange, it's a fresh start for everybody. I was kind of hoping Tanguy would have a fresh start, but I've done a few stories now saying that Galatasaray are looking to sign him. So I don't know about him. But yeah, who was the third player you said?
Sarr. I think he's been a really good player during the training sessions.
Yeah. I think Sarr's great, and I would have been gutted if he went out on loan because he's a young player who has the opportunity now to build and to impress Ange and fight for his place. That's the centre mid is going to be tough to break through. You're thinking it's going to be Basuma and Bentancur when he comes back. When he's back fully fit, that'll probably be our centre mid partnership, and then Maddison in front. But there's an opportunity from there. He clearly is impressing Ange. He's clearly in his thoughts. So yeah, I'm happy those guys have stayed. But yeah, it was good that we got a few, Winks. It was time up for Winks. I think it was a good move for him. And Skipp, I don't think there's much of a future, even though he scored twice tonight. I don't think there's much of a future for Skipp either. But no, I just think it's been really rejuvenating for the whole squad that they've had a new lease of life, and everyone's so motivated to do well for Ange, and it's just given everybody this edge. And it's nice to see players not actually giving up for once.
We will talk about the transfer window right at the end of the show. Ricky, I just want to ask you your opinion about Tanguy Ndombele. I know it's a subject we've spoke about a lot in the last couple of years. He hasn't featured at all in the 4 games during pre-season for Tottenham. And I know a lot of people thought that Tanguy Ndombele was injured during the Asia tour. He wasn't. He trained with a small group of players, including the likes of Joe Rodon, and they were kept apart. They played in the main games in the friendly sessions, but certain drills they were training separately. Are you surprised that Tanguy Ndombele has not been given a chance?
I think it all comes down to that first pre-season, Chris. I think so. I mean, maybe you can confirm this bit here or not, but that first pre-season he was supposed to start, and then he got that knock in the training session the day before, and I think that kind of ruled him out. And then Lo Celso's come in and just looked dynamite. Looked like he was up for it. Looked like he's ready for it. He's got the work rate, the mentality. He's showing the boss that he wants to be there. And I think that one opportunity there is almost messed up Tanguy if he wanted to stay, I think. And possibly the fears that we had about Ndombele in training, the work rate, the attitude, the mentality, those fears that we have about him, that we've had about him for a while, and we was hoping that a new boss and an attacking system, maybe that would rejuvenate him, maybe that would re-energize him and make him want to kind of put those performances on the field for Tottenham and kind of repay us a little bit for the big fee that we paid out for him. But maybe Ange has seen something in that and seen the fears that we've all had about him in training and gone, it's not going to work. I mean, when Ndombele first came in under Poch and in the training, when we was having double sessions and stuff like that, I heard a rumor, and maybe Ollie can confirm or deny it, but I'm sure you boys remember it as well. But I heard a rumor within I think it was like the first week or so under Poch, he was like, this training's too much. I think I want to leave. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think I can do this. This might not be for me. And that was within like the first week or so. So intense training, hard work. There's something about Ndombele that it just doesn't work for him. And when Ange says in press conferences, maybe this system, maybe this team, maybe this rebuild ain't for certain players, maybe he's alluding to Tanguy Ndombele. And I think after that knock, like the preseason, that one preseason game that he didn't get, we assumed that he was going to be in that starting lineup. I think he's missed his opportunity there, and then after that, we've had bids, we've had interest, so he's not been nowhere near a squad since, if my memory serves me right. So, you know, it's all about the shirt, bro. It's all about the shirt. Maybe he just didn't fit in the Tottenham shirt, and Lo Celso suddenly he's put it on and he's like, oh, I like my shoulders in this shirt, and he's ready to go. But that's the way football goes, man. Sometimes it's a flip of a coin. Sometimes it is about the fit. We know about the managers that we've had in the past. They've been great names, they've been great brands, but they didn't fit. Now, Ange Postecoglou, like Ollie was saying there, you know, I was one of those as well. When I heard Ange, I was like, are you mad? Like, well, because it wasn't the big designer. It wasn't the big designer suit, but you know, he gets through the door, you put it on, you have a look in the mirror, and you're like, actually, this fits, this looks good, and this can run. I can go out in this. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, it's all about fits, bro. And unfortunately for Ndombele, who is a player I really wanted, I was really excited about. Thought he would dominate our midfield. Thought he would run the league ragged in the Premier League. I thought he would run it ragged and be a super exciting, proper Tottenham player. You know, it just didn't happen, which is unfortunate. Good luck to you if you are on your way. Good luck to you. If Ange hasn't certified you, then that's it. We're on a different path now. There's a freshness about this squad. There's a new hunger about this squad. There's a bit of fire about this squad. There's more smiles in this squad right now, you know? And if you're not part of that, or if you don't fit within that, or if you don't catch the joke, then maybe it's time, you know, you go on a new adventure.
I think even with the body language, Rick, I think that you've got to prove that you want to be there and show that you want to be there. And I don't think that is there. And I think that, you know, knowing the type of character Ange Postecoglou is, I don't think he's going to stand for that in any shape or form. Craig, let's come to you. Let's talk about the match incidents. After the 3rd minute, of course, Barcelona went 1-0 up. I think a lot of people at that stage were thinking, oh, my God, Lewandowski against Dyer and Sanchez. And by the way, were you surprised that Dyer was given the captain's armband? I know it's only a friendly, but it's fair to say a lot of Spurs fans had hoped that Eric Dyer would move on in this transfer window. Are you surprised that Eric Dyer was given the captain's armband? And feel free to talk us through that first goal.
Firstly, on Dyer, I probably wasn't surprised he got the armband, because he's probably next in line after Harry Kane, and while he's here, I think Postecoglou didn't want to change that. I mean, as much as people would disagree with it, and obviously I'm sure a lot of people disagree with that, I'm not sure else you would have given it to tonight. Perhaps anybody, some people would say, but I don't think you can probably read too much into it, other than, you know, seniority, I suppose, the link for service at the club, perhaps something like that. As for the goal,
is that the problem? Is that the problem, that Dyer is a senior player?
From everything here I've heard about Eric Dyer, he's a great character to have in the changing room, and he's a leader. Even though we probably don't see it, he is quite a leader, and he's a voice that's listened to. He speaks multiple languages, and he helps players that perhaps don't speak English that well, especially the Portuguese one, and one's from Brazil. And apparently he's I'm not defending Eric Dyer at all here, but I think all teams need those sort of players in the squads to help around the team, even though they're not first choice. I'm not for 1 second saying Eric Dyer should be first choice or anything. I'm just saying that's what it could be. But yeah, it has been a problem, this sentimentality that I think we've all had, especially with the Delis and the Ericssons, and you know, some of them, you know, I was gutted when Deli left, but it was probably the right thing for him to do. I'll still maintain to this day, you know, Ericsson leaving it, I knew that was going to be a massive loss for us. People think he downed tools before he left. He did to a certain extent, but Mourinho always brought him on to help us out. And I remember him coming on and swinging in a corner, and it missed the first man for once, and we scored from it. And I think that was up at Wolves, from what I remember. But you know, there is sentimentality around this club, and I think Ange will change that gradually, but you can't make too many changes too quickly. And I think just having Eric Dyer as captain tonight, yeah, it might have pissed off a few people, but I wouldn't read too much into it. As for the goal, I was one of those that thought, oh my God, here we go again. First team we've come up against with anything about them. We're going to get absolutely tanked here. And as I said, the Rafinha chance a bit later that he should have scored.
Yeah.
You know, if that had gone in, it perhaps have been looking at a different scoreline. But again, it comes down to defensive frailties. I genuinely think Porro was out of position. I don't think Dyer was in position. Sanchez wasn't in position. Just a bit of a calamity all round, really. I don't know what it was a bit strange to see. It was almost like fighting for seniority over the possession, because obviously we know Barcelona are going to be possession based and we wanted to be possession based. You can't have them both playing like that. You can't have two teams playing like that. I don't know what the possession stats were, Chris. Do you know what the possession stats were in the game?
No.
Perhaps somebody could put it in the comments, but I didn't see that. But it was that was a
45% possession, and Barcelona had 55.
Oh, right,
Ollie,
okay.
Can you tell us the shots on target as well, if you don't mind?
Barcelona 8 shots, Spurs 6 shots on target. They had 443 passes. We had 347 passes. Shots in total 14 each, and they had 8 on target. We had 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Same pass accuracy.
Well, it's interesting because obviously last couple of games we've had over 30 shots, haven't we? So that's half. But you did kind of expect that against Barcelona. You're not going to, you know, you'd be lucky to get 30 shots against Barcelona. But wasn't the ideal start, that was it? But as I say, it was just great the way we came back into the game and just stuck with what Ange wanted us to do. And I think, you know, the game's 90 minutes. If it had been 80, we'd have won it. That's the way I look at it. It's just minutes in the legs.
Gents, do you know what though? Just hearing those stats and hearing what you're saying there, Craig, I think we're forgetting this was our second team and then a string of youngsters that have come on that are trying to develop. So if we've got 14 shots in total, right? Yeah. That's half of what the first team at the minute on average have got, which makes sense. Do you know what I mean? It actually makes sense. What I was impressed with is that they never stopped trying to do what they've been asked to do in training and believe in the system. And they didn't really look afraid in the first half. Even when they went a goal down, they didn't look afraid. They were like, all right, cool, let's get back on it. And they carried on, popping those passes around and making those dynamic runs and trying to get up the field at speed. You know, so even though we've lost and the stats don't look that great, this is in the first half it was our second team, you know, for about 60 minutes or whatever it was before the changes started. And then we brought on our young ones, the Vine, Scarlett, you know, we brought on Spence that hasn't had no time. I know, Chris, we're going to jump onto it, but he hasn't had no time at all. You know, so we saw loads of different things, but the stats are not a true reflection. If our first team was going up against that first team of Barcelona, that would have been interesting. That would have been really interesting.
Whatever team it is, Rick, the 4 friendlies that we've played, over 100 shots in those 4 games. I doubt that anyone could go back and look at stats under Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte, regardless of opposition. I doubt that there is 4 consecutive games where we've had 100 shots in 4 matches. No way.
And another thing that's interesting is that we haven't the whole time with the defenders that we have. Not Mickey van der Ven, we've conceded in every single game. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So the problem, we've known the problems, and with the getting in Mickey right now, and whoever else we do actually end up going for, they're looking to address the problems that we've all highlighted and we all know as Spurs through and through fans and supporters. Do you know what I mean? So I'm hoping that in these next weeks that they can just up the game. Some of those players that were on the field tonight failed their audition. You know, like you were talking there about, you know, Reggie. You know, he got done by a 16-year-old tonight a couple of times in that second half, and even made him pull up with an injury. He stopped running. He was like, okay, no, I've got an injury. You know, that was by a 16-year-old.
He was unbelievable.
Sorry?
That 16-year-old was unbelievable.
He was unbelievable. He was absolutely unbelievable. But he's going to come up against a lot more. If he sticks around and he's relied upon, he's going to come up a lot more in the Premier League. You know what I mean? We don't have to go through all the wingers that are in the Premier League and all the fast guys and all the tricky dribblers. We don't have to go through it, but there's a ton of them. Do you know what I mean? So I think a couple of these players failed their audition tonight.
Ollie, let's come to you. Want to talk a little bit about Pedro Porro and his performance this evening. And in your opinion, who is the best back four going into the new season? Does Ange Postecoglou know who the best back four is?
I have a feeling it's going to be Royale, because I've seen him start a couple of the friendlies in the games where you want a team to. I mean, that team against Shakhtar it looked like it was. I'm right in saying Royale started that game, right? I'm not making sure that I can mark yet. So that to me was the first team, or near enough. And Royale was the starting right back. And I don't think Royale's great. I mean, I know there's a large contingent of the fan base who hate Royale. There's like a Facebook group that says we hate Emerson Royale, get him out. But he's grown and grown. There was a time where he couldn't string a pass together. He couldn't defend. He was getting sent off. But he's decent for me. Like I'd start him. I mean, really, I just want Jed Spence to get his chance. But clearly, he's not doing it for a lot of managers. So we have to kind of trust that. And maybe he's just not ready yet. Maybe he needs another loan or something. But yeah, I would say Emerson Royale is our best right back. But you know, it's crazy that after we spent 40 million on Pedro Porro, and here's my hot take: I don't think Pedro Porro is a right back. I think he's a right winger. He can't defend, but there's no point saying he can't defend. He's not a defender, and he didn't really play defense for Sporting Lisbon. He was a wing back who pushed forward and played on the wing sometimes. So it's crazy to just put him as a fullback. He's not a fullback, and if you put him as a fullback, we're going to concede a hell of a lot of goals. So I think there's a future for him, but further forward, up in attack with Kane, and let him challenge Kulusevski for the right wing role. But yeah, I would start Royale. I think that'd be the smartest move. But yeah, we've got to rethink with Porro, because we're not playing to his strengths at the moment.
Ollie, also in the 15th minute, Richarlison had a shot deflected wide. Of course, he scored a hat-trick in Singapore against Lion City Sailors. What have you made of Richarlison so far this pre-season? And of course, only one Premier League goal last season. Do you think that he's going to come good this coming season under Postecoglou?
Oh, I hope so. I mean, to be honest, Chris, I could score a hat-trick against Lion City Sailors. But yeah, we spent 60 million on a guy who scored once last season, or a couple of goals in the Champions League, but it's not really good enough. It is pre-season. I think we have to be patient with him. He's clearly a player who likes an arm around the shoulder, and I think he got the tough love under Conte. But a player doesn't. He was very good for Everton. He was the main goal scorer. I think it largely depends on if Kane leaves. I think if Kane leaves and Richarlison is the guy leading the line, he could really thrive. I don't think he's a second fiddle kind of striker. I mean, we've seen him go to the World Cup with Brazil, where he was the main man, and he was doing up unbelievable bicycle kicks. And he's had so many chances last season. He just spurned so many of them. But if Kane stays, yeah, I think he probably struggles. But you see how many chances we create with Ange. You're going to put them in. Any of us playing up front would put one in. You'll have a ball put to your feet with 2 yards from goal. You'll score. There will be plenty of chances. He just has to take them. And I think his confidence has taken a serious hit. We have to remember that. But every player looks reinvigorated under Ange, so there's no reason why Richarlison can't be one of them. But yeah, I think it's just largely dependent on Kane. I think if Kane stays, he's not going to get the opportunities, because he's going to play with one striker up front unless he plays on the wing. But yeah, I think it's really for Richarlison to be the main man. I think that's where he thrives when he's the star guy.
Can I just say, Fabrizio Romano's just tweeted that Joe Rodon is on the verge of joining Leeds United on loan from Spurs.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
On loan.
The deal could be completed this week on loan.
That's bizarre.
Bit of a strange one again. Ricky, let's come to you. In the 19th minute, Lewandowski had a shot from range, saved by Vicario. A couple of minutes later, Lo Celso nearly scored from a corner. 3 minutes later, of course, Oliver Skipp equalised for Spurs. It hit the post. Giovanni Lo Celso hit the post. Well controlled, though, by Skipp, putting it in the net. But a wonderful ball before that from Perisic. What did you make of the goal?
No, I thought it was made in Croatia, that goal. Do you know what I mean? It was Perisic all day long. The fact that he found that space and whipped in a beautiful cross. You know, I'm really encouraged that Lo Celso was in the right place. It was unlucky for him to hit the post, and you know, it was great for Skippy to follow it up. That's what those type of goals are coming, and that's what's really kind of interesting. If we keep Perisic as a sub, we know that Ange enjoys options with his wingers, right? So, you know, with Perisic, you've got an experienced guy who can guarantee you a cross right now in that, you know, the left wing position, you know, and if we need that, that's great that we've got that. We've got a small kind of nippy speedster, trickster in Solomon. You know, you've got different styles of players to come off the bench and give us different options and give us different threats for the opposition right now. And I think that, you know, Perisic, he set up that goal, and you know, I know you'll go on to the next goal as well, but I love the cross from Perisic, and I love the kind of the vision from him.
Do you keep Perisic, Rick? Because as I said earlier, there's been lots of reports stating that Perisic could go out the door this summer. For you, do you keep him, and where do you play him if you do keep him? Where's his best position?
I think if we were to keep him, then he's a sub for me, and he's an option. He's an option. You know, he's an option off the bench to get a cross in, to get a free kick in, or to get a set play in, or to get you up the field. I think he's an experienced guy. I think it you know, towards the end of last season, I didn't want Perisic around anymore. I felt it was a failed experiment. But we was playing wing backs at that point. He was playing a wing back at that point, and him running backwards, as we've kind of seen in pre-season, has really hurt him. Him trying to defend and him bombing, you know, he's a fit guy, but bombing back and forth didn't really do him any favors. But seeing him in an advanced position, you see where that experience and that international experience, that Champions League experience, that kind of, you know, that trophy winning experience that he has up on the left wing, you know. So he's a sub. He's an experienced sub. He's somebody that can come on and definitely do a job. And he's also kind of a mentor stroke teacher. You know, that's what we thought we was getting when he came in. He was not only going to be the experienced left wing back that Conte wanted, you know, and a soldier that knows the Conte way, but he will help the young ones around him in those same positions and teach them about being a wing back. So I'm not saying we need a teacher to teach wing back play right now, but him being experienced and having that experience to kind of be open with the young ones, to encourage them and to almost talk about the game and to open up their experience head and give his knowledge to the young ones as well, could be a good thing, you know. But if he goes, then I think we probably need to replace him, to tell you the truth. And we're probably looking for somebody that gives us those type of attributes so that we've got another option off the bench. We know that Richarlison can play left wing or the right wing, but we know that he's preferred in the number 9. You know, the majority of forwards we've got can interchange in different positions. I was going to go through them, but you know what I mean? The majority of them can. But so we're always going to have an option, but he gives us something that not too many of the rest of them do, you know? So if he was to stick around, I'm not going to be upset about it. Again, given a second chance to a player, you know, under a new manager, he's been the one of those alongside Lo Celso that I've been the most impressed with. So if he wants to be there and he wants to show up and he believes in this system and he believes in this manager, and he's not looking to get away, he's not fed up with the Tottenham project, and he's motivated to go into the season and be that super sub, and Ange wants him, I don't see the problem.
Can I just answer Graham's couple of messages here? I get free tickets and I work for Tottenham Hotspur. I don't work for Tottenham Hotspur. I'm standing outside the stadium here on my own. So if any Tottenham employees are around, please can I have a beer? Craig, let's come to you. After 27 minutes, it looked like Vicario was getting lobbed. I think one of you mentioned that earlier, and he made a good save. 6 minutes later, there was a call for handball in the penalty area. The referee waved it away. And then on 37 minutes, Spurs went 2-1 up. Skipp with a fantastic header after, again, another fantastic ball in from Perisic. Oliver Skipp, where does it leave Oliver Skipp? Because Ange Postecoglou has been raving about him this evening. Where does it leave him going forward for next season? Because we do have a number of great midfielders. Of course, Bentancur has got to come back as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should definitely hold on to Skipp. It sounds like he's going to be around anyway. I think you want 4. If he's playing 2, 4-2-3-1 or whatever the formation is, but if he's having 2 behind, say, Maddison or Lo Celso, he's not a starter for me at the moment, Skipp, but he's a good, solid player to have in there, and he runs all day. And to be honest, it's great to see him getting forward. And I love that header, the way he attacked it. Absolutely loved that. I thought it was Richarlison at first, and suddenly realised I saw Skipp running away. But it was a great goal. Look, as Ricky said, he loves the club. He's come through the academy. He knows what it means to play for Tottenham. And look, sometimes that ain't good. It just ain't good enough, and you have to say sorry. We've got to let you go. Skippy's a bit different. I like Skippy. I think he's a really good option off the bench at the moment. I think that's what he's got to. He's got to obviously work towards pushing the players out that are ahead of him. But I'd certainly keep hold of Oliver Skipp. I think he's a good squad player to have around, definitely.
You're on mute.
Just before half-time, Solomon went through. Could have made it 3-1 to Tottenham, hit it at the goalkeeper. Ollie, what have you made of the signing of Manor Solomon?
I think it's a good addition. I think it can never hurt to have more names in attack, especially if Kane is going to leave. But no, he impressed me at Fulham last season. He had a spell where he scored a few in a row. Yeah, I think he's someone that he's a bit of a personality. He looks like a bit of a happy chappy, joker in the dressing room. Yeah, it can't hurt. I mean, I was talking to Josh Hughes, who comes on the show sometimes, and he wasn't that impressed with the signing and said we didn't really need him. But it's a free transfer, even though he was still under contract. I don't know what happened there. But who cares? Yeah, free transfer. He's played in the Premier League. He's going to be competing for a spot in the attack, which is what we want, especially if Kane goes. But no.
Stop saying that. Stop saying that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Who said what?
Talk to him. Talk to him.
Wait, what?
I said, stop saying if Kane leaves, Ollie.
Oh, right. Oh, sorry. I mean, you're going to have to accept it, Craig. You're going to have to accept it.
Do you know what? Do you know what? We've got to the halfway point. We've got to the halfway or half time. Let's do it now. Let's do it now.
I've got to start working at 7 a.m., Craig.
Is Harry Kane going to be a Spurs player against Brentford on Sunday? Ricky, let's start with you. Just give me a very quick answer, yes or no.
Yeah, 100% yes, my friend. 100%.
Craig?
He's staying. He ain't going nowhere.
I flip-flopped all week, all transfer window about this. He's going to go? Oh, he's going to go. He's going to stay. Oh, it looks like he's going to stay. I think he will. I think he'll just stay. But if anybody from the club's watching this, just tell Daniel to just say no, like they did in Grange Hill all them years ago. Just say no and get done with Bayern. Tell him to go and do one, and let Harry see out his contract and let Harry enjoy the football under Ange and see what we can do, because it's driving me absolutely insane. This, I'm sure everybody out there and everybody on this chat, it's driving him insane. You're checking Twitter, you think, oh, we're waiting for Romano to say something. Oh, Bayern's putting another bid. Oh God, it's doing my head in. I just hope that if that bid that we're told is going to be 94.6 million, including add-ons, I think I heard. I just hope that Daniel Levy just turns around and said, no, right, look, you're not serious. Shut it down. Kane's staying. And you know, with Kate about to drop as well, I just don't understand why Harry would want to go this year. I don't get what the rush is. I really don't. I respect Bayern as a club, but I don't know why you would want to go to the Bundesliga. I just don't get it. I've never understood it, and I hope Kane stays. I know that wasn't a quick answer, Chris, but I desperately want Kane to stay.
What I wanted to ask is, if Harry Kane is not for sale, why do Bayern Munich keep coming back with offers, Craig?
Exactly, and unless Daniel Levy's doing the biggest wind-up in history, knowing full well he's not going to sell him, or I don't get it. I don't get why he just hasn't said that. I don't I don't get it why he's entertaining it. Perhaps he's hoping that Bayern come in with a ridiculous offer that he couldn't turn down. Saying they come in with 150 million quid, of course you're going to sell him. You know,
well,
but
is 90 million pounds a good offer for Harry Kane? So Spurs can then rebuild. Ange Postecoglou knows exactly where he stands. He can then go and spend the money instead of Harry Kane leaving on a free transfer next summer.
I think it's worth the risk. I think Harry Kane's worth. You haven't lost anything keeping Harry Kane around. It didn't cost us anything apart from wages. You know, he's come through the academy. So you're technically not losing that 90 million quid. And I don't trust them to spend that money wisely, Chris, because we've been here before with Bale. Well, I'd rather personally keep him around. But
the only reason I ask that is because if you get Harry Kane to leave on a free transfer, you get no money in. We will then get a very different replacement in for him rather than a decent replacement because we know that money's there to spend. No?
See what you're saying, but don't forget the 50 million that was or should be drawn down that we should be spending this window from Enoch. I just think we should be planning our transfer windows with money to spend, regardless of the money that comes in for somebody like Harry Kane and your star player. I just don't think, personally, I don't think, and I hope I'm right, and I tweeted this earlier, or X'd it earlier, whatever it is now, Daniel Levy would not want to go down as the chairman. His legacy, surely, is not going to want to be the chairman that sold our best ever player. It wants to be, look at the stadium I built. And it's not going to be that if he sells Harry Kane.
But you could see it that he'll go down as the chairman that let the best player leave on a free transfer.
I think he'd probably live with that because I think you've asked majority of the fan base, do you want Kane to stick around? I think the majority of the fan base would say yes. And you've got to do, he said many times, he's a custodian in this club. You have to do what the fans do to a certain extent. And I know this is so contentious because some people out there, even on this chat, will think we should take Bayern's money. I get that. I get the financial side of it. But Harry Kane is the best number 9 in the world and he's our player at the moment. You saw Sunday what he's capable of. And he weren't at full tilt Sunday. Imagine what he can do in this nearly said Pochettino then, Postecoglou side. You know, it's frightening. Him and Maddison are already striking up that little partnership. So I just want this done and dusted. I just can't wait till the weekend. And you know, I tell you, if this offer comes in tomorrow or whatever.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you all a question.
Go on.
Let me ask you all a question. Are Tottenham Hotspur going to spend £100 million on one player?
No.
So why do we care about the £100 million? In fact, £100 million is cheap for Harry Kane. Harry Kane guarantees you goals. There's not so many guarantees in football and in life. But the one guarantee that you can put your money in your house on is Harry Kane will score you goals. So really and truly, Germany, Bayern Munich, the league, the paper, the reporter, all of them, they've all been stupidly disrespectful. 94 million, that's cheap. That's a bargain for somebody who gives you a guarantee. Really and truly, and I don't care about the year left either. Really and truly is, you know, at very minimum, the fact that this £100 million was kind of muted around, Bayern should have just dropped 100 mil and then gone from there. Do you know what I mean? But this whole kind of play, because Bayern always get what they want. Bayern always get it their own way. When they wanted Lewandowski, they got him. When they wanted Roos, they got him. When they want, not Roos, Götze. When they wanted Götze from Dortmund, they got him. When they want a manager to go and get him. they get players on a free, they get players on a cheap, left, right, and centre. They don't pay big money for players. So the fact that the £100 million pounds, not euros, was there, and that was muted, it wasn't truthful, it was just a rumour. They should have just dropped it and started from there. Do you know what I mean?
Ricky,
because £100 million is still cheap for a guaranteed 25 to 30 goals a season in whatever league you put Harry Kane in.
I completely agree with you. But if Spurs did not want to sell Harry Kane, they would simply say to Bayern Munich and every single other club, he is not for sale.
Yes, no, I hear what you're saying, but this is my theory, okay? This is my theory. Because Kane missed out on that Man City deal, and Man City were disrespectful as well because they should have put the money down, and they didn't. They wanted to play silly, you know, but they didn't. Do you know what I mean? Still, at that point, 100 mil, it was still cheap for Harry Kane, another guaranteed Premier League goal scorer, all right? But they didn't do it. But Harry himself missed out. And at that point, Haaland's come in and banged how many goals and got the glory with every single trophy.Maybe that hurt him. Maybe he sees Cole Walker winning everything since the time he's left, and maybe that hurts him. So maybe he at this point in time, when a top team has come in and they've got interest, what the club have done or what Levy have done, in my estimation, in my theory, in my guesstimate, is they've played the game. All right, you know, all right, Harry, a big side's come in. You know, they want to speak to you. You know, we've all heard that Harry's open to all possibilities right now, all options of this potential transfer window, right? Staying, going, sticking around, going on a free. He's open to all these things. But the club have then opened talks with a big boy club in the Champions League, top of their league all the time. And what I think they're doing is they're playing the game again so that they can turn to Harry and go, look, we spoke to him. Yes, you know, if they would have put down the money, we would have signed off, and then, all right, Harry, you could have gone, mate. But they came with some rubbish. They tried it, and they wanted to come and get you for 52 pence, and it's not happening. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're worth more. They're even disrespecting Harry Kane by offering what they're offering. So you're worth more, Harry. We couldn't do it. We spoke to them. You saw they came over. We had lunch with them. I took them to the Mayfair, bruv. Like, I went to speak to them for you, mate. But you know what? They wanted a discount, and we don't deal in discounts. So unfortunately, Harry, we can't sign the deal off. I think that's what's happening.
Ricky, the other thing that I wanted to say is, are you worried if Harry Kane leaves on a free transfer, he could go anywhere to a Premier League rival? At least if, and I'm covering all angles here, so at least if he went to Bayern Munich and we got a really good sum of money, 90 to 100 million pounds for him, and then put in the clause in the contract that we have a buyback option when he's finished with Bayern Munich, would that not be the best scenario?
Not for me. I think if we let him go, he's not coming back, regardless of buyback clause. You never know what's going to happen in life and in football, bro. He could have a terrible injury over there, or he could enjoy the city, or if he was to go, or he could enjoy winning every season. Do you know what I mean? Just because there's a buyback clause there doesn't mean that we can activate it and he's going to want to come back. Do you know what I mean? So for me, no. For me, the next move that should be happening is a contract of 2 years gets put down on the table with a buyout clause in it. You pay him 400 to 500 grand a month while he's here. You make him captain. You sell him on being a Tottenham boy through and through and lifting a trophy with the captain's armband on. It's going to be you. You're going to be the man, bro. And if it doesn't, if it comes down to the end of this season and you want to go, well, the buyback clause, not the buyback, the release clause is there. It's in writing. If they pay X amount, then you can go, mate, after a year. So that covers everybody. Tottenham get their money. If Kane wants to go after a year and he doesn't like what Postecoglou is doing or the signings or the way that it is, then he can go his merry way and Tottenham still get some money and he can go to a big club. The big club's happy too because the release clause is there and they don't have to deal with Daniel Levy or the club. So for me, that's the best solution.
Ollie, let's come to you on the Harry Kane situation. Do you think that he will be a Spurs player come the end of the transfer window?
No, I don't. And I take a very neutral view on this. I'm taking my Tottenham hat off.
All right, I'm watching.
This is what it is, right? So It cannot ever be possible to be logical about keeping a player like Harry Kane until the end of the season when he's got a year left on his deal. And I know that Tottenham, the Tottenham Chiefs, are not going to have that. They're not going to take the view that he costs nothing, so he can leave for nothing. Fine.
I agree.
Because if you can get 90 million, yes, Harry Kane in his prime, if he was on a 5-year contract, he'd be worth 200 million, maybe more. But when you can sign him for free next summer, and a club is offering you 90 million plus for one of the best strikers in the world, I think it is insanity to turn that down. And I'm speaking as a non-Tottenham fan at this present moment, just as a businessman, and we know better than anyone that the people running Tottenham are businessmen, and we've done stories that very clearly say that Daniel Levy has been told if he not sign a contract, he's out of here, and there's no way we're going to go into the season. This is just my hot take. I don't have any current insider sources apart from the stories that we've already done at the Mail. But I don't think we're just going to play the risky game of let's see if he likes the football. Let's see if he signs a new deal. I can't see it happening. And this is what's going to happen, right? So you let him go. You keep him at the club. You say no to Bayern. You say no thanks. You can keep your 90 million. And we'll keep him and we'll enjoy his last year. He's going to leave on a free transfer. He's not going, I'd be stunned if he signed a new deal. It would have to be that we're wiping the floor with teams every week and we win the Carabao Cup. And he's like, hang on a minute, this is good. It's going to be a real tough thing for that to happen. So the likelihood, let's be honest, let's be really honest. He's going to leave and he's going to go to United. And then he's going to score goals against Spurs. And he's going to get the goal scorers record. He's going to get Shearer's record in United colours, or probably a Premier League club because he likes the Premier League. And I'm surprised that he'd even want to go to Bayern Munich because, being respectful to Bayern, the league is not good enough. They win the league every year. He'll easily win the Bundesliga there. That's fine. Does he really want to do that? I don't know. He's not going to win the Champions League at Bayern. They're not good enough. I don't think even with Kane they're good enough to win the Champions League. So logically, from Harry's point of view, stay at Spurs, go to United for free. Easy. That's the logical thing. From a Spurs point of view, we don't want to lose him because he's been an incredible custodian to this club, an amazing goal scorer, a consummate professional, broken every record there is. We want to keep him for as long as possible, but we're going to pay for it. At the end of the season, we're going to pay for it. We're going to pay for the loyalty. We're going to pay for the passion and how much we honor this guy and worship this guy. You're going to end up with no money. So
what if he gets us into the Champions League goal?
I think we get in the Champions League without him.
But if he gets us into the Champions League, then we don't lose money. We gain 60 and we lose out
90.
on 30.
You lose 90. Well, it depends because if you're looking at it, how much money we get from the Champions League, I think we could sell him and still get Champions League. But that is me being Ricky Norwood style positive.
do you know what, Ollie? I agree with so much what you've said there because the football club, I just cannot see when you're being offered that amount of money now.
It doesn't make sense, business
yeah,
style.
I cannot see them letting Harry Kane leave on a free transfer.
We have to look at it from a non-Tottenham fan point of view.
Yeah,
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So in my head, he's going to be there for Brentford. I can see it going all the way to the end of the window, and then Daniel Levy squeezes every penny out of Bayern, and then they just say, "Yeah, let's do it," and it's going to be really painful and it's going to suck. But that is I'd be like Gary Neville said yesterday. I'd be stunned if Kane went to Bayern, and I'd be stunned that he'd want to go there, but I'd also be stunned if he stayed. Just because Spurs, from our point of view, we have to be getting as much money as possible from a world-class talent. I think it'd be a travesty if he left for free. And
Ollie,
yeah, go on.
So, sorry, mate. I would understand this if it was Real Madrid or Barcelona. I would understand it. I really would. But going to Bayern, like you said, the league isn't that strong. They're going to win the league. If it's all about trophies, he's going to win the league. But if it's all about trophies, you might as well go to Celtic, because they're almost guaranteed to win.
You haven't got convinced me. I don't understand why
they're not offering the money.
But
absolutely, absolutely, I get that.
Kane wants to go, so if he wants to go, and they're being offering 90 million, take the money.
Does he? If push comes to shove, do you think? Well, stupid question, really.
He didn't want to go, no, but he's met up with Tuchel. They had lunch together at his house.
Is that true? Did that happen?
Yeah, 100%. We've reported it. It's happened. He wants to go. Like the Bayern chief said, he met up with Harry and his brother. That he's very interested. I don't know why. I mean, he's going to get a hell of a lot of money, and he's going to win every trophy in Germany. Big work. But he wants to go. So if he wants to go, and also you don't really want to have a player in the club who wants to leave.
Well,
I don't know who's captain.
That's a very good point, Ollie. And Ricky, let me come to you on this. You know, Ange Postecoglou must be very frustrated since he's come in. There's all this Harry Kane situation, all this Harry Kane noise. You can tell that he's getting quite frustrated with it. He looks frustrated. He sounds frustrated with it in some of the press conferences about the Harry Kane situation. What do you think it's like for him? Because do you think he knows right now whether Harry Kane is going to be a Spurs player on Sunday or on the 2nd of September when the window closed on the 1st of September? Do you think he knows?
Do I think he knows? Probably not, mate. Probably not. And I think he's waiting for the decision like everybody else. But the one thing about Ange is that he's dealt with these scenarios before. He's dealt with big players leaving, and they might not be big players to us in the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? But in their respective league or in their position, they've lost big players, and he's a rebuild manager. So, you know, he's dealt with these scenarios before. He's dealt with these questions before. He just hasn't dealt with it in the volume and the amount of press and the amount of questions that are coming from him and the amount of reporters and the amount of tweets. And I don't think he's ever dealt with that type of volume of pressure. So, of course, he gets frustrated by it. Of course, you get frustrated when you get asked the same question time in, time out, day in, day out. You know, of course he is. Oh, Chris, they've turned the lights out on you.
It's time for bed. I think it's time for bed, Chris.
Those listening right now, Chris is standing outside and Barcelona have turned the lights out on him.
Lights out. Lights out and away we go. That time.
I think that's Ricky Norwood's talking too much.
Yeah. I'm going to shut up.
I can't even read my notes now. Right. So, Ollie, you think Harry Kane's going. Ricky, Craig, you think Harry Kane's staying.
Yeah, it'd be nuts if he stayed. So I don't know if he will go, but my logic tells me that he has to go. That's what
I just think as well. Somebody made a really good point in the chat there. Why would he blow a massive signing on fee for a club in less than a year as well? You know, I know he's not. He never seems to be the sort of guy that's about money. But when you're being offered millions to sign on and just play out the season at Tottenham and have your choice and get a massive signing on fee and a huge wage, I don't get it. If it was me, I'd stay personally, but perhaps I've got my Spurs well and truly on there.
Ollie, do you not think that they could offer him a 12-month, not a 12-month, but a 2-year contract with a release clause? Do you not think that he would
accept that when he can go for free though? Why would he accept it when things are like on the up, but he can literally go for free and join any club he wants? Why would he sign a new deal?
Well, those were those reports out, I think. But again, it's Twitter, innit? So,
but also, Ricky, if he signs a 2-year deal with a release clause, it's just he may as well leave on a free because everyone's going to bid for him anyway.
Okay.
So okay. I just don't see for him, but for you, yes, great.
Yeah,
get him to sign a new deal. But for Kane, I mean, he loves Spurs. Let's be honest, he loves Spurs. But he's running out of time to do his thing to get everyone off his back about the trophies thing, and I just don't see from his point of view, unless a miracle happens this season, I don't see why he would want to sign a new deal.
Ollie, as a journalist, and I know you don't. Sorry, Chris, I'm just really interested to get this. Ollie, as a journalist, I know you probably don't like to talk bad about people in your profession, but how do you think this has been handled by the Bayern Munich press? Because they control the press in Germany, don't they? Bayern Munich, they're linked, and that Pletty goal or whatever, and other people like that.
Plettenhart. No, it's been awful. I think the guy who held up the Harry Kane shirt was so unprofessional, and he's quite rightly been banned from Spurs press. I don't think he cares. But no, it's been abysmal. It's been a joke. And I was with the German. I went and visited the German World Cup team in Oman last year, and I was chatting to a journalist, and they're very liberal, and they're very different in the way they handle things, their attitude. They kind of just they have this very kind of blasé approach to reporting, and it's just their style. And I know a few Spurs fans are getting a bit frustrated with Pletty. What's his name? Pletty Goal, whatever his name is. They love the drama, don't they? That's just how but it's not been conducted well, and I don't think Bayern Munich have conducted themselves very well. Ange would never talk about a player that wasn't his player. We don't it's the classy thing to do. It's the gentleman's rule. You don't discuss a player. And every single week, somebody from Bayern's board is saying, "Oh yeah, it'd be great. We'd love Kane. It'd be great. He would love it to come. He would love to come here, and we'd love him, and he'd be a star." You don't talk about a player before he's signed. It's just not. It's not very classy. So I just don't think they've handled it well at all.
Ricky, don't get me wrong. I would absolutely love Harry Kane to stay, and that would be the ideal scenario, wouldn't it? He's banging in the goals like he did last season, and of course, when he's been at Tottenham, he's been absolutely fantastic. Sadly, he hasn't been successful, but I just cannot see him signing a new contract. I think it's unrealistic.
If you love something, set it free.
Yeah.
There will come a time where we have to learn to let him go.
Yeah, like Joe Rodon, but on loan.
You got to learn to let Joe Rodon go, man. It's tough.
I'm going to very quickly go through the second half because I want to ask you all your opinion on the transfer window. In the 56th minute, Eric Dyer had a free kick deflected wide. A minute later, Richarlison header just wide from a corner. A minute later, Pedri with a shot over the bar for Barcelona. In the 59th minute, Pedro Porro with a shot at goal. Goalkeeper saved. In the 63rd minute, Barcelona with another shot over the bar. Davinson Sanchez with great pressure. Craig, let's cover Davinson Sanchez very quickly because that was probably one of Sanchez's best performance in a long time.
Yep, it was. As I said earlier, probably the best performance I've seen him have in the Tottenham shirt for many a year. His pace at the back recovered well, slid in a lot of times and timed the tackles to perfection. I'm not saying we should keep him around, but I think he probably gave Postecoglou something to think about tonight, but he may well have already decided that Sanchez is probably going to be looking for a move. But to be fair to him, Davinson, he played a great game tonight, and I think stopped a couple of goals going in, certainly in that first half and at the beginning of the second. So definitely our best defender on the night, Chris, yeah.
In the 72nd minute, a double change for Tottenham. Devine and Spence coming on, Perisic and Skipp coming off. Ollie, just wanted to ask you very quickly on Jed Spence. Do you think he's going to get an opportunity under Postecoglou? Because, again, very limited minutes. Same as Antonio Conte, went out on loan to Rennes. What do you think is going to be his future? Do you think he's going to end up leaving Tottenham on a permanent basis? Because we've seen reports in the last couple of days that Spurs could even offer him to Nottingham Forest in a deal that could bring Brendan Johnson to Tottenham.
Yeah, it doesn't look good, does it? I think, to be honest, his only opportunities are probably going to come in the cup games. From what we've seen from the friendlies so far, it seems like it's Royale, then Porro. So, yeah, he's not in the top of the pecking order. It seems like the only people who want to start Jed Spence is us Tottenham fans. But we don't watch him in training every week. I guarantee you, if you watched him in training, you'd probably be like, yeah, maybe not. It can't be that many managers see him and don't want it and don't want to start him in the games, because he's come up from Nottingham Forest when they were in the Championship, and yeah, for whatever reason, he's clearly not cut up for it. He went to Rennes in the French league, which is not a great league. And yeah, it just doesn't look good for him. I would love him to get a chance, especially considering how bad all our right backs are. I would love him to get a chance. But yeah, the fact that we're offering up as a make weight in a deal, his future looks bleak, to say the least.
Yeah, he was also one of those players training in that very small group in Australia, Thailand and Singapore. Ricky, let's come to you. In the 76th minute, Richarlison went off, Dane Scarlett came on. 5 minutes later, Lo Celso had a free kick, goalkeeper saved. And then it was the case of Barcelona scoring 3 times. Do you want to talk us through all 3 goals very quickly?
Not really, Chris. Not really, mate.
Should we move on?
For me,
in short, it wasn't great.
It wasn't great. And it was almost the same old. You know, like Reguilon got done a couple of times for a couple of them goals. I felt that, you know, Eric, you know, obviously he's building up his fitness and stuff like that, but he didn't have a great season last season at all. And the balls just slipped past him. That 16-year-old, I can't remember his name right now, but the first goal that he set up, like that ball outside of the foot. And what did we see again? We saw the back of Dyer's head again, which I don't want to critique him as a man. Do you know what I mean? But I can only critique what I see within the performance. And, you know,
Yamal.
Say it again, bro.
Yamal.
Yeah. Oh, Yamal. I thought you was talking about my mum then. I thought you said your mum. What's he talking about, bro? I'm East London.
Your mum.
It's your mum playing.
This is just got ugly now.
Yeah, but no, you know, Reggie and Dyer, you know, they didn't do too well tonight up against, especially in that second half. Nice one, Victor. But yeah, especially in that second half. And it was just kind of, it was easy to cut through that same old defense. I mean, that's a kind of a look at the future if we was to play that defense again as our regular kind of week in, week out side. I think that's a kind of vision of what would come. You know, the overrunningness, the rashness, it's like that back, not so much Sanchez, but Dyer and Reguilon, it just seemed a bit off the pace, really. And so, yeah, there wasn't great goals at all to concede, but it felt to me like same old in that scenario.
Ricky, just a yes or a no. Do you expect Sergio Reguilon to be a Spurs player at the end of this window?
No, I wouldn't say so. I would say he'd probably be on the shopping list. I mean, I like Reggie as a person, like Craig. You know, he looks like a good boy. He looks like he's a giggle around the squad. When he first turned up, I thought he was going to be the second coming of Danny Rose. And, you know, they kind of sent him out on loan. And I was a bit confused about why they sent him out on loan at that time. But we're seeing what's going on right now. And I think with Mickey van de Ven coming in, hopefully another defender, I think you could have Udogie, who looks phenomenal in that left-back role right now. And I think he could really grow into that role. But then you could have Mickey van de Ven we could use as cover as that left back and use his pace. And then you bring in your new defender, fingers crossed, Tapsoba as your left-sided centre-back. And that could look really exciting, you know. And then you've got Davies as backup, you know. So really and truly, my heart of hearts says no. He's not going to be around. He's going to be sold, mate.
Now, last couple of questions. Craig, let's come to you. The transfer window. Of course, Tottenham Hotspur earlier today announced that Mickey van de Ven has signed on a 6-year deal, as well as Aleko Valise. So now, in this transfer window, we have signed 6 players: Vicario, Solomon, Phillips, Maddison, van de Ven, and Valise, and 2 others, if you wanted to count them, Pedro Porro and Kulusevski, on permanent deals. So 6 players or 8 players, whatever you want to call it. Craig, what rating out of 10 would you give this window so far?
6 so far. I think we're a couple of defenders short still. I'd love to get 2 more or 1 more centre back. Definitely a starter. I've known nothing about Ashley Phillips, so all I've heard is a good acquisition, but perhaps not for the now. Valise, is that his name? Valise. Again, know nothing about him at all, but again, not one for the now. I'd imagine one for the future. I would have classed Porro and Kulusevski as our players already, so you can't really count them in my book. Okay. Maddison, fantastic signing. Really loved James Maddison, always loved him. I wanted us to sign him when he was at Norwich. I think he's going to be a great player for Tottenham. I Look, Chris, we've got 39 players in the squad now.
Yeah.
And obviously if Roden goes through, that's 38. We've got to start offloading people, surely. I know we all want more incomings, but they've got to trim this squad down.
Yeah.
It's bloody ridiculous. 6 out of 10 for me so far, because I don't think we've done anywhere near enough to get challenging for the top 4 or 5. But obviously the next few days, I know what Ollie's saying about the transfer window. We all know it runs till 1st or 2nd of September, whatever it is. But Kane said if he's not sorted out by the Brentford game, and if he plays in that, he's staying. So for me, if they stick to that, regardless of when the transfer window shuts, Harry's gonna. If Harry sticks to his word, as we've heard, if he's in that squad for Sunday, then he's staying for the season. So, and I think then perhaps you have to look at, because if Harry goes, we're going to have to bring in a striker presumably as well. So that's another one for the shopping list. But who you get, God knows, because you're not going to replace Harry Kane, so you can forget that. You've got to get in an out-and-out number 9 for me that's going to challenge for that position with Richarlison. But we haven't done enough at the moment. Let's say Kane's going to stay. We still haven't done enough for me. But getting people out the door is the main thing at the moment as well. So they've got a lot of work to do still, I think.
Only a couple of days ago, Jurgen Klinsmann said exactly what Ollie said tonight. I think it will go down to the wire at the end of the window. Ollie, what else do we need to do in this transfer window to be competing for a Champions League spot, a Europa League spot? Because when you look at all the other teams around us, particularly the ones that finished above us, 1 to 7, they've all strengthened their squads. Have we done enough to challenge for top 4, top 6?
Well, I would give it a 7 out of 10. And I think if you look through every position, we've signed a keeper, we've signed a centre-back, we've signed a midfielder in Maddison, and we've signed 2 forwards in Solomon and Belize. So that's 5 players, every single position filled. And Udogie as well. If you can count Udogie, even though we signed him last season, he's like a new signing. But we filled pretty much every position where we needed cover, we've signed. Are they amazing covers? No. Are they world class? I think the only player who's like a, statement signing is Maddison. Everybody else is unproven and jury's very much out. But they will add the squad depth. Is it good enough to win the Champions League? To get back in the Champions League? I hope so, but probably at this point it's going to be tough. Especially when Arsenal go out and spend 100 million on Rice. But if we took the Kane money, we've just done a story tonight saying that Bayern are going to come back with 94 million bid. And if we accepted that, we can go and get Tapsoba, we can go and get Laporte, we could even go get David Raya for 40 million. Don't shake your head at me, Ricky. We could go get another striker. Yes, we would lose Kane's goals and his amazingness, but we could get the. You guys are saying we need this, we need that. We take this money, we go get it. We go get anyone we want. So, Ricky, are you telling me that if you were Daniel Levy and you have 94 million, you would say no?
It's not so much that, bro. It's like part of me feels that we shouldn't be relying on Kane money to get in a Tapsoba. That was what the shake of the head was, really. Yeah. And I think there's other people within that squad that you could get rid of to bump up, the money there. So when it comes down to people like Tapsoba or I don't know, another striker or so, I just don't think you need to sell Harry for that, bro. That's what I was kind of like, and I just don't. There's one thing going in for someone like Laporte, but is he going to want to come to Tottenham? Is he going to be the one that says, the high profile lot that either want a lot of money or Champions League football sort of thing? So that's where my cynicism came in.
Well, he's not playing. Laporte's not playing, and he's not going to get minutes at City this season. So why not? I mean, I'm not Laporte, but why not? I mean, you're playing in an attractive team that plays good football. Yeah, why not? I mean, I don't know. We'll see. But
yeah, no, I hear you there.
I see what you mean, because you're going to sell our greatest player ever and then use it to buy a few defenders. Yeah, that sounds crazy. But then you're really going to spend. Is there a player that you can spend 100 million on that is a like for like replacement? No. So you might as well recycle it around the team. and make us all round stronger. I don't know. That's just my.
No,
but didn't you say earlier, Ollie, that you think that Richarlison would be a replacement?
Yeah, I think we could do that. Yeah, I think we could do that too. I think you. That's what I'm saying. I think you could use the money to buy the players we need still, and then just either let Richarlison do it or let Son do it. I think that could work. I think whoever's up front is going to score goals.
Yeah, I have my doubts whether we would be good enough to get a Champions League spot or even a Europa League spot.
It's a huge risk. It's a huge risk. It's a huge gamble. I think whatever you do, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Whatever happens, we're making a bad decision from someone's eyes.
And the other thing, Ricky, to go back to your point about Harry Kane earlier, imagine if Harry Kane stays at Spurs for this coming season, and then we win a Carabao Cup or an FA Cup, and he goes, right, I've won the trophy, I'm off.
I mean, that could happen. But at least he would have. Look, I think we all know as Spurs fans, the one thing that Harry has always wanted is to lift a trophy for Tottenham. So we might kind of diminish it by saying a Carabao Cup or something and saying, all right, he's lifted it and now he's gone. But that's what he's always wanted to do. Could you imagine if he missed out on it? And you know what? Harry Kane, like you've always said, Chris, you bring up the stat a lot, that he scored 30 goals in 38 games in a struggling defensive side. How many goals is he gonna score this season under Ange? You know, he's gonna rival Haaland, bro. He's gonna go, all right, cool. It's between me and you, mate, and like, let's have it. Do you know what I mean? He could get 35, 40 goals this year.
Yeah, but unless you really shore up that defense and spend big money, you know, I'm with you, Ricky, about we shouldn't need to sell Harry Kane to bring in top defenders. I've always said that. Rick, just very quickly, give me a rating out of 10 for the window so far.
I'm very much like Craig. I'm on a 6. Maddison definitely statement signing. I'm really happy now that we've got a defender. But you know, some of the signings we've got to trust, and we've got to let them bed in, and we've got to let them find their feet. And it's about the outgoings as well. We've only had one outgoing, you know, and it's when you see other teams like Chelsea, for instance, that have just kind of managed. I mean, and they might have connections with Saudi clubs, which makes it a little bit easier, but just managed to trim their squad, you know, so quickly and be able to start their rebuild as well. Like, we've only sold one, so I'm around a 6 right now. If we get another defender, I think we could push it out. I think if we would have got Raya, I would have been on the 7s right now. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, there's still time.
Last question for you all. Craig, let's start with you. Of course, we start our Premier League campaign on Sunday against Brentford. It's come around very quickly. What are your thoughts ahead of this game? How do you think Ange Postecoglou will set up in terms of personnel? And give me a score prediction.
Well, I think he's going to go more or less with the starting lineup at Shakhtar, but with Bissouma coming in, I think he'll go Vicario, Emerson, Romero. I think it might be too early for VDV. I'm not sure. I think it would just be a game too early. So who is he going to stick in there? Oh God. I just don't think that Ange will want to sling him in straight away. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he's raring to go. So look, let's say VDV and Romero. Let's go with that. And Udogie on the left. I think he'll go with Sarr and Bissouma, and then Maddison in front with Kulusevski, Son, and I'm going to say Harry Kane. If not, it'll be Richarlison, and I'm going to go for a 3-1 Tottenham win.
Okay. Ollie?
What
my lineup prediction?
Yeah.
Vicario, Royale, Romero, Van der Ven, if he's fit, Van der Ven, because that's what he signed for. Udogie, I think he doesn't seem to rate Højbjerg, does he? He keeps having a go at him. It probably will be Sarr and Bissouma. I actually agree exactly with you, Craig. I think that will be the team. I think it will be pretty much close to what we saw against Shakhtar. That will be the team. My prediction, it's a really tough one because they smashed us on the last home game, didn't they? And it just seems like every time we play Brentford, they got our number. They're a really good team. They play really good football. It will be a really high scoring game, I think, because they play great football. We're playing good football now. There'll be mistakes. It'll be open. I think it might be 2-2. That's me being realistic, not hopeful. 2-2. Yeah. Hopefully a 2-1. But I think it will be like a bit like tonight, where we go 2-1 up, and then they'll probably score in the last minute. Hopefully not.
What about you, Rick?
I agree with the boys there on the lineup. Absolutely, I agree with the boys there on the lineup. I think we need to just check on Son, because obviously he's coming back. He hasn't had that many minutes, so he may be he might be only on for 60 minutes or something along those sides. But we've got options there. And I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be 4-2 Tottenham. I think we're guaranteed to concede, as we've seen throughout pre-season. And but I think there's enough in there. I saw enough in there against Shakhtar. Mostly the passing, mostly the pressing, where it looked like we had 2 extra men on the field, and mostly that attacking play. They were very brave. They wasn't afraid to pass and find those angles and find those extra men that are free. So I'm going to go 4-2. And on Mickey van der Ven, I reckon chuck him in now. Let him find his feet. Might as well. If the first 6 games from Ange's point of view are going to be rocky, well, you might as well have him in there and learn on the job.
I completely agree. Yeah, put him in.
43 million. 43 million. You better be good enough to start. Check him in. Yeah,
put him in.
Well, Sanchez was 42.
And look what, well, you got to earn your money. You got to earn your price tag. Let's go.
Ollie, thanks so much for joining us this evening. I know we've run over, so apologies, but it's always a pleasure having you on. Where can people find you and what you're up to at the moment?
You can find me on Twitter. It's X now. You can find me on X at Ollie Gamp. No underscores, no dots. Keen to connect with as many Spurs fans as possible, so give me a follow. What am I up to now? Did a lot of boxing stuff, actually. I interviewed Jake Paul the other day. Chris Billam-Smith, world champion, interviewed him today. So just trying to get on the boxing. We're doing a boxing podcast, actually. That's something exciting. It's called The Hook, and it's starting fairly soon in the next few weeks, so keep your eyes peeled on that. It's exciting.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Ollie. And Ricky, where can people find you and what are you up to at the moment?
You guys know where you can find me. You can find me down here on X, as it's now called. I don't know. I think it feels weird saying it, doesn't it? Didn't it sound like a dodgy site, doesn't it?
Yeah. X.com, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Even when I get the notifications up, I'm like what has somebody sent me? Do you know what I mean? I'm swiping it straight away. I'm like, get rid of it. But yeah, you can find me there, and I'll be on the with Chris after the first game of the season. So I'm looking forward to that. And come on, you Spurs! I'm just looking forward to the end of the season. Come on, I'm auditioning. I'm back and forth from London and trying to keep busy. But I'll let you know when I can let you know what's going on. And I will see you very soon. Always an honor and a pleasure to be on with yourself, Chris, with yourself, Craig, and with my boy Ollie. I'm so happy that we got to have that gathering and that drink together.
That was so nice, man. It was such a pleasure to meet
you. And to have a conversation and kind of give you all a little cheers and just have that. So hopefully we can make that happen again. But yes, always an honor and pleasure. And Chris, make sure you get home safe, my friend.
Yeah, Chris, I'm worried about you. Text me when you get home.
give us 3 rings.
I'm so surprised that we've been on here for nearly 2 hours and Ricky has not mentioned Scorpion.
I couldn't believe it, bruv. I couldn't believe it. It was that bit. It was that bit where you tried to do it, but your lips said no. You was like, no. Yeah.
Craig, thanks so much for coming back. Pleasure having you as always. What are you up to at the moment? Where can people find you?
If you want to follow me on, I'm going to say Twitter or X. It just doesn't sound right, does it? It's me username there at DM9. Get some really good comments from people. Thank you very much for those. As I said earlier, I've just been spending a lot of my time ran with random German people about somebody I don't even know, as in Harry Kane, which is really good fun. So yeah, always a pleasure coming on, Chris. Can't wait for the season to start now. I just hope our new captain is with us Sunday, but we'll see. But you know, when all's said and done, there'll still be a Tottenham Hotspur, even if Harry Kane goes. We've got to deal with that one day anyway. Yep. I'd rather it be in 5-6 years' time, but you know, if it is going to happen, it is what it is. It's going to be devastating for all of us. But we move on. If he don't want to break Shearer's record, and I'm sure the only person who's going to be happy is Alan Shearer, because it's a very prestigious record to have, and I can't for the life of me think why Harry Kane just don't want to spend 2 more years, break the record, and then go, and you can go with our blessing. But it's kind of like our record as well. I know that sounds daft, but I feel like it's our record as well, and I want him to do it in Tottenham colours. But if he doesn't, hey, he doesn't. It's up to him. It's his life. So we'll see. But thanks for having me on, Chris, and I'll see you on the next one.
Well, Ollie, Craig, Rick, thanks so much for your time this evening, even though we lost and even though we're talking about a defeat. But, of course, our Premier League campaign starts on Sunday. We'll be back on Sunday after the Brentford game. As Ricky said, the lights are out, so I'm off home. I'll see you on the next one. Until then, come on, you Spurs.
Come on.